Okay, I'm ready. Actually, where's my water? Type shit, chat. Type shit. Okay. Alright, 3, 2, 1, boom.
The Canada, United States line.
White man, how dare you? How dare you?
That was kind of racist.
I'm a privileged white man too. But you know what I'm doing?
You just called me a privileged white man.
You cannot be racist to white people because white people are the dominant race in this country.
I swear to God, I am
Whoa, right off the fucking rip, huh?
so sick of white people.
Remember when white guys used to be cool?
Side eye, you know white men and white boys have not been cool. In actual uncensored history.
Okay. Well, I guess it's gonna be like that then.
Chad, I'm so confused. So even if you weren't born... oh my god. Okay, never mind. I'm just gonna let it cook. Uncensored history. Jesus,
back to hell. And as per usual, before we launch in, today's video is sponsored by Ground News. I also just wanted to say a really big thank you to everybody who left me a comment or emailed me or messaged me with relation to the last video that I made about losing my hearing and some of the other neurological things that have been going on. I just didn't realize how many people in this community are in the same boat. So it was simultaneously depressing to read that so many of you are also going through it, but also it was really comforting because it's nice to know that I'm not alone. So yeah, the overwhelming thoughtfulness and kindness completely blew me away. And funnily enough, some of my friends and loved ones were reading through your comments as well, and they were just like, Sydney, everyone's so nice. So biggest thank you for all of that. And I am going to take a lot of the advice that I was given and go and see some more professionals and go and get my brain scanned and do some other bits and pieces. And I am still trying to get through all your emails, so if I haven't responded yet, I haven't forgotten you guys. It's just I just got a lot of them. So all of that aside, let's get into the video. Oh boy. So back in mid-2023, I actually made another video about this exact topic, which came about after I watched a street interview where a British woman was asking people, what are straight white men good for? And the responses were about what you'd expect.
What are straight white men good for?
Straight white men?
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
This video's gonna make me mad. What? I remember a few months ago when we were reading that article how certain people were pissed in the UK that firefighters were only white men and that fire stations needed to like diversify their firefighters because there's too many white men. I feel like that's the argument. Like, I feel like these people made that argument are the same ones that are saying white men aren't good for anything. This needs to be its own classification of mental illness at this point.
This basically sums up the entire vibe of the video.
What are straight white men good for?
Being rude and making you feel uncomfortable.
Of course, it's the French woman saying that other people are rude.
Fucking French woman. Any French men in chat, can you confirm or deny? Can you confirm or deny this fact? Chat, I have been to France and French women can be extremely rude. Yes. Yes, they are very entitled.
When I was in Paris many moons ago, French people would literally pretend not to understand my French because, I don't know, I guess I sounded too Anglo. So
yes! Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god, it's so true. I know this is like completely off topic, but if you're in Germany, they tolerate your bad German and they think it's endearing, but they will correct you so that you can speak better. At least most of the time. French people just freaking hate it. Like, especially in Paris and stuff. Outside of Paris, it's not that bad. Yeah.
There's that. You really gotta have some big old testes to be French and accuse other people of rudeness. Making phlegmy mouth sounds. Anyway, in that video, I explained why and how
Sound
we've
like a
gotten to the
goose.
point where it seems to be socially acceptable and borderline normal to mock, degrade, and express open hostility towards not only white people, but straight white men specifically. And in the 2 years or so since I made that video, not a whole lot has changed, and honestly, I would argue that things have gotten worse, leaving me with many, many more examples to show you. And just to reiterate a core point I made previously, it might seem like I'm cherry picking the examples that I use here, but I'm really not. It is not remotely challenging to find supporting evidence for what I'm describing here.
I know, Sydney. I know. I have talked about straight white man hate probably like 100 times at this point already. Because I literally cannot scroll Twitter or Reddit without absolutely like getting bludgeoned over the head with anti-white man propaganda. It's genuinely not that hard at all. The saying, you couldn't throw a rock without hitting XYZ comes to mind here. X being white man hate, or like man hate period.
And the hostility being openly espoused here is not exclusively from lunatic people on TikTok. It is openly expressed in film and television by talking heads, journalists, politicians, and so on.
In America, there's a thing about both white vigilantism and white tears, particularly male white tears.
And yes, of course, by the freaks on TikTok.
If white people don't deal with themselves and their wickedness, we are going to suffer.
Just a reminder, chat. I'm gonna get this out of the way now because I don't want to say it like 100 times during this video. If anything said here had the word white replaced with any other race, there would be a tidal wave, a monsoon, a tornado of freaking death threats and deplatforming and doxing and social media outrage. Just remember that as we go through this.
As a group of people, continually, not just black people.
Asians don't count though? Oh yeah, that's right. The people now consider Asians white adjacent. You're right. I forgot about that. That's what really mentally ill people say.
But people of color, all over the world.
White people, we have always been the problem. That's the beginning of this fucking country, bitch.
Holy Karen moment.
Oppressors. You choose to continue to live that way.
White people who have this kind of white guilt are incredibly confusing to me. They insist on apologizing for Western society. What are you sorry for? iPhones?
Seeing poor white men is like seeing Jamaicans losing in a sprint. This game was designed for you to win.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh Lord. Oh God help me. Oh Lord help. Oh, we're bringing in the class thing, like white people can't be poor. Oh my god. Oh, class oppression is, oh jeez, oh.
This is such a weird statement. Listen, I'm just happy for the white guys that they're collectively finding out that they have no obstacles. Must be nice to know that you're immune to poverty. And how could you have possibly found this out if it weren't for the insane people on TikTok?
The Canada, United States line.
White man, how dare you? How dare you?
That was kind of racist.
I'm a privileged white man too.
You have red hair and pale skin. You are the whitest mother flipper. What? This is so wild to me!
But you know what I'm
You
doing?
just called me a privileged white man.
You cannot be racist to white people because white people are the dominant race in this country. Full stop.
You were calling me privileged when you don't know anything about me. I could have grown up in
This
Section
is
8
privilege.
housing.
This is privilege.
Okay, alright.
No, sir. This is mental illness. Or the Krusty Krab, but, you know, either or. That works. Yeah, that is insane, dude.
Alright, tell me this.
Now, what put this back on my radar was a story from mid-May, when the illustrious David Hogg was all but removed from his role as a vice chair of the DNC. That stands for the Democratic National Committee, for those of you who don't know but find hard news incredibly boring. And if you don't know what that is, you too have access to the internet. Because I am not your personal Google. I'm not even my own personal Google. The story goes that Hogg was basically removed from his position because his election to that position violated the DNC's gender parity rules. One of the losing female candidates argued that the voting process that elected Hogg in the first place disadvantaged women and thus he must be scrapped.
Dude, I don't know shit about politics, I'm not gonna lie, but we've talked about a few times, like, on this channel about the whole, how can the left win back men, like the shoe video, for example. That's a really good one if you want to check that out. I don't think it's a good first step removing a white man that won this, like, whatever this election was. I think there's, like, a reason men aren't voting for you, quote unquote, anymore. It's shit like this. I don't get it, chat. This is insanely tone deaf. Did you see the DNC in their internal election is horribly painful? No, I don't keep up with that shit. I'm not gonna lie. My eyes glaze over. I just don't.
During an interview with Bill Maher, Hogg explained all of this himself.
Part of the claim, so I don't, not to bore people, but to get into the bureaucracy of the DNC, we have a gender balance rule at the DNC because, of course, we do.
Equal position. Okay.
And
see, right away.
So you drank your By the way, the Republican Party does too. If the chair is a male, then the vice chair has to be a female.
Well, what's interesting is that's even more progressive than our vision, which is that the chair doesn't count towards the gender balance rule that we have. Frankly, I don't even know if it makes sense for us to have the gender balance rule anymore in this day and age because I want to focus on whoever's just best at the job.
Great.
Oh my god.
At this point, that's my own view.
I kind of hate that I agree with some of the things that he's saying now. It feels weird. I'm not.
It does feel weird and fucked up to agree with a politician. It does.
A lie. I feel like something is just inherently not okay.
Chad, I think it's a pendulum swing. There's a big shift where a lot of people, regardless of political affiliation, are sick and tired of these extremists and ideologically captured zealots being in charge, man. I don't hate you for being left or right. I don't care, genuinely. Like, from the bottom of my heart, I don't care. Just be normal. Don't virtue signal. Don't try and shame people into, like, voting for you. And start acting like you have the interest of the country at heart and not your stupid fucking political football wartime, you know? Picking teams and shit. I want to live my life and buy a house and not be told I'm racist and sexist for breathing in your direction. That's quite literally what most people want at this point.
David, are we becoming friends? Now I actually feel a little bit bad for all of the mean memes that I've posted about him in the past. But you know what I don't feel bad about? Getting accurate news and information, thanks to Ground News. So obviously, when I am researching these insane stories, it's really important that I have access to true and accurate news, which is actually getting harder and harder to find today, let me tell you. But it's why I'm really grateful for Ground News and their ability to cut through the noise. So, for example, when I had the idea to make this video, I immediately checked Ground News to see their coverage of this David Hogg story. And in their notes, they immediately highlighted the gender-based component. Importantly, they also showed that David Hogg's story is hardly being covered by the left, with 64% of coverage coming from right-wing sources. And it's cool because Ground News lets you compare how this reporting is done. So, for example, again, most right-wing sources are using headlines that simply tell us that David Hogg has been ousted. Left-wing headlines, on the other hand, are pointing a lot of attention towards other people involved. I use all the sponsors that I work with, but I genuinely love what Ground News stands for. I love the fact that they are trying to create a better environment for readers and viewers so that you can actually have a fully informed opinion. You don't have to waste time reading 100 different articles. It's all there on the website in the one place. helping us to find blind spots in the news and keeping track of media bias. So if you too want to be better informed, then click the link in the description, scan the QR code on screen, or go to ground.news/Sydney. And don't forget to subscribe through my link for 40% off the Vantage plan, which is the same plan that I use for unlimited access.
Wow.
Anyway, regardless if you like this kid or not, or agree with him or not, it does seem that he was elected to his position completely fair and square. And the only reason now why he's seemingly on the chopping block is
because he's a man, grrr.
Because he's a man who doesn't meet the DNC's gender quotas. I've actually seen a bunch of people calling this out, saying that he was too straight and too white to meet the organization's DEI.
Chat, remember that Reddit post we were reading about liberal white men? Like, liberal men in general? And how they're, like, you know, not good enough because they're faking it? This kind of reminds me of that.
Standards. And to be fair, that doesn't sound too shocking to me at all. You know, coming from the party that routinely elevates people based on their sex and skin color alone.
You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
What the fuck? Anytime I see really any clip of this woman, it feels like a fever dream. I will also note, for our David Hogg story to be completely rounded out, we do have to assume that he is in fact straight. And I don't know if this is a man who yearns for the teat. To touch the teat, not...
But that's actually a kind of low-key a good thing. Who cares? See, this is what I'm talking about. It's like, does it matter if he's gay or, like, he likes titties? Like, am I crazy for... Am I that, like, lowbrow that I genuinely don't care? Like, if he does, that's awesome, but, like, if it's not his forefront, it actually makes it a bit better. Yeah, I don't care who he likes. If he's reasonable, like, okay, it's cool.
Whatever other things that are weird that you might do with teats, editing Sydney, please don't leave this in. Yeah, this is absolutely being left in. People need to know that mentally you're not okay. Anyway, long story short, seeing David Hogg being treated this way for simply being a straight white man is honestly not terribly surprising. Especially when you consider the fact that his very party has spent God knows how long trashing not only white men, but just men in general. In only the last few weeks,
we know that from the shoe video. I would have never known, to be completely honest with you, until I saw the shoe video and the amount of articles and, like, clips of people talking about it, like actual politicians.
2018 clip of Ilhan Omar has started to do the rounds again on social media, where she said that white men are the biggest threat to people living in America.
A lot of conservatives in particular would say that the rise in Islamophobia is a result not of hate, but of fear, a legitimate fear, they say, of quote-unquote jihadist terrorism, whether it's Fort Hood or San Bernardino or the recent truck attack in New York. What do you say to them?
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
Citation needed. Per capita, please. Is she talking about the US or the UK? Like, maybe it's in the UK? I don't know what's going on over there. I talked about the UK a couple of, I think it was weeks ago or a month ago. And it was about garbage piling up in their streets. Because they had decided to, you know, fuck over the garbage men because they make too much money because none of them are female or something. It means everywhere? UK? I don't know, but that's still an outrageous thing to say.
We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
Okay, Ilhan, tell us more. AOC has been spouting off with similar comments over the past year or so.
And throughout our history, we have also had to confront the ugly legacy and backlash of bigotry, ignorance, and white nationalism.
In this clip, she says that there are too many white men in Congress, like in the workforce.
I think one of the things that we need to take a look at is the world that they're fighting for, a world without diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, which is
a world where merit is what matters and not your skin color or your gender. Yes, that's right. I want my government, the officials, the doctors, the pilots, the engineers, the lawyers, whatever, everyone. I want everyone to be judged on merit. It is, in fact, racist to judge people based on their skin color. I know, absolute shocker at this point. This is so wild to, like, listen to.
to say the default, which is to say workplaces that are honestly kind of like Congress, because the population of the United States, as we mentioned, is about 59% white. Do you know what percentage of Congress is white?
I don't, but I know that we finally have 60 members of the Congressional Black Caucus, which is progress.
But even then, 75%. White Americans make up 60%, 59% of the US population, 75% of Congress. Men are...
Do you think, like, white people are the only ones that voted for these people in Congress? Do you, like, think maybe a good chunk of the votes that were cast for these members of Congress that are white, maybe, like, I don't know, like, I'm just kind of tapping my head and thinking over here, like, maybe, just maybe, those votes came from non-white people? Maybe some of them? Are the non-white people that voted for those white men racist? Chat, like, real head scratcher right there. Yeah, real head scratcher.
Are 50% of the population and make about 70% of Congress.
Congratulations, AOC, that is how percentages work. David Hogg himself has called Democrats out for alienating his very demographic. In December 2024, he went on national television and said that he got immense pushback for suggesting his party reach out to young men.
Yeah, look what happened. That's crazy.
At the DNC, I raised the concern of what are we going to do about young men? And I heard back from people an enormous amount of vitriol.
Funny, dude.
Why would I ask that question? Why would we focus on that?
What's genuine?
God, I keep thinking about the shoe video. I just keep thinking about it.
What's so funny about all of this is that while the Democratic Party has been shooting down David Hogg and his actually legitimate suggestions, and also trashing white men, they recently launched a new initiative called SAM, Speaking with American Men, to try to reconnect with you all. Apparently. Actually, they're apparently going to spend like somewhere in the realm of $20 million to study.
I'm so glad my taxpayer dollars goes into this. I'm so happy. Very smiling. I'm smiling right now. Yippee. Very cool.
And buy advertisements in video games. Believe me when I say we absolutely do.
What? Advertisements in video games? This isn't tax dollars, this is private funding. Okay, never mind then. I thought it was taxpayer dollars.
Not need any more leftism in video games. I hate it here. It's really no secret that straight white men the world over have become very disillusioned with not only majorly left-wing parties, but left-wing politicians and general leftist narratives. And it's really not very surprising why, because like I said at the beginning of this video, you really don't have to look far at all to find very upsetting examples of the overt disdain being thrown at this demographic. And over the last 12 months or so, we have been given plenty of them. For example, back in mid-June 2024, a Disney executive admitted that the company discriminates against hiring white males.
This was a big deal. I'm surprised not more people talked about it, but like mainstream journalists didn't talk about it, obviously.
certainly
Yeah,
there
we
have
saw
been
this clip.
times where, there's no way we're hiring a white male person.
This happens in the military apparently a lot too. Yeah, because of DEI stuff.
Yeah.
Unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken, but
how would they say it?
There's no way we're hiring a white male person. They'd say
Like straight to you, or okay?
They'd be very careful how they message that to agents. As far as Disney's concerned, I'm a white male. That's not who they're looking to promote at the moment. I've been at the company 11 years now, so I have friends in HR and I have friends in those divisions, and they're like, look, nobody else is going to tell you this, Mike, but they're not considering any white male for a shot.
Wild, man.
They're just not. That's not what they want. We wanted to hire somebody in the department a few years ago now, who was half black, but didn't appear half black. And
oh my god! They had lighter skin, so they didn't hire them? Oh my god! Nah, that's fucked up! I have friends that are half black and they're pretty white presenting, they don't have super dark skin. I consider them black, that's so cringe!
There was a creative executive who was like,
oh my god!
That's not what's wrong.
You have to present yourself more. Oh my god. Buffering? Wait, no, I'm fine, chat. I'm fine. It's Twitch's end. Yeah, if you're buffering, I'm fine. I haven't dropped.
They wanted somebody
it was
in the meeting
Twitch.
to
I'm fine.
appear a certain way, and he wasn't gonna bring that to the meeting.
Oh, very progressive. First they make the Asians white adjacent, and soon it's going to be all of the mixed race people too.
Pure-blooded. What are we turning into Harry Potter?
Get ready. As many of you probably know firsthand, this isn't even an uncommon thing in the corporate hiring world, where plenty of job listings actively exclude white men and instead seek non-whites, women, and those of the LGBT persuasion. Funnily enough, when I was trying to find examples of all of this, I found a recently settled case from early 2024 where a company advertised a role for white US-born citizens only and was then investigated and fined by the federal government. Once again, it really doesn't matter if you think that it was right or not right that this company was able to advertise like this in the first place. I think the primary point here is that they did, then they got fined and basically sued for it, but other companies can exclude an entire...
Which is fine! That's fine! Yes! Sue them and fucking take them off the market. You're not allowed to do that.
Cohort of people and make it very explicit that they are searching for a very specific type of candidate, and that is fine. And
that's what everyone's been complaining about. That's the point. DEI was shoved down everybody's throat to the point that it infested into our video games, and now you have an entire population of people who were not involved or cared about that shit, who are now involved and care a lot, and they're pissed. Shouldn't have fucked with the video games, chat. They could have just kept doing what they were doing, but now they went and fucked up video games, and now everybody started noticing. They're like,
Get sued, they don't get in trouble with anybody. It's socially acceptable, and I also want to highlight this ongoing case taking place right now that has virtually gotten no media attention.
Of course.
Where a woman is suing the Ohio Department of Youth Services for discrimination because she is straight. Yeah. The case is making the argument that some courts in the US force people from majority groups, so those who are straight, white, and male usually, to...
How do you know she's straight? Dude, if someone asked me, if I'm gay, straight, or bi, or whatever, I'd just be like, why does it matter? It's a job!
Meet a higher evidentiary burden to prove workplace discrimination, which is just... It's so crazy that it's like this. This case is actually in the Supreme Court right now, and the ruling is expected in June 2025, and you best believe I am extremely curious to see what comes of this, because I think that depending on how it goes, there's going to be some very major implications, and I'm alarmed. Also, unironically, you kind of know that things are a bit cooked when you're having to meet a higher evidentiary burden just because of your skin color. It's like, I thought that was something only Britain did. No, I am not joking. This is something that Britain does. Some of you—
They also arrest you for mean tweets. Are we genuinely really that shocked? Lest we forget the time that we talked about that British police officer that was trying to say if you made mean tweets across the pond. Do you guys remember that? This was like over a year ago. That they were gonna come and find and arrest you in America and extradite you to the UK? Yeah, whatever happened to that? That guy got mocked so hard on social media. A lot of people, including myself, made a video about it. This was probably over a year ago. It was very funny.
You might remember a recent story about two-tier sentencing in the UK, where the country's sentencing council made plans to make offenders' ethnic backgrounds a greater factor in deciding whether to jail them. According to numerous outlets and articles, magistrates and judges would be asked to consult a pre-sentence report before determining whether to imprison someone of an ethnic or religious minority, as well as young adults and pregnant women. So, you know, taking into consideration all of their cultural differences before making a determination.
Today, the Justice Secretary is belatedly introducing a bill to restore fairness to who receives a pre-sentence report. But it doesn't correct what the pre-sentence report actually says. Under brand new guidance, her own department issued in January, pre-sentence reports must consider an offender's culture.
So because I'm Russian, if I do a DUI and I kill someone, it's in my culture to drink a lot, so they should lessen my sentence. All right, I'm in. I'm gonna start doing DUIs. All my Eastern European brothers. Yeah, woo!
Should take into account intergenerational trauma from, and I quote, important historical events.
What the fuck does that even mean? What?
Evidently, the Labour Party don't believe in individual responsibility and agency. Instead of treating people equally, they believe in cultural relativism. This time, the Justice Secretary has nobody else to blame but herself. Will she change it, or is it two-tier justice? And is that the Labour Party's policy now?
To be fair, though, this has been happening for so long,
man.
not only in the UK, but also in Australia and in other Western countries as well, where people are effectively given a slap on the wrist or very, very lenient sentences because justices and people in the justice system are taking into consideration things like cultural differences when somebody is SA'd or something horrible happens to them. And the argument is like, oh no, we can't send them back to Afghanistan because they will be treated much more harshly over there.
I mean, this is why they don't take them seriously. This is why people are getting fed up, because there's like zero consistency from people who think like this. It's all women's rights and like hashtag believe all women until the ethnicity of the guy that grapes the woman isn't white. This is the type of Reddit mental illness that is like propagated over the last 10 years, man. These freaks actually hear the term, a woman got raped, and instead of their first reaction being, that's horrible, we should probably sentence them to jail and put them through the justice system, and instead they have to go through the like mental flowchart of diversity? Like this mental gymnastics of the mental gymnastics Olympics to see if it's actually something they should be mad about? It's insane. When the frick did they start thinking like this? This is awful.
This stuff don't fly, which makes me feel things on the inside in my soul that I am not allowed to articulate on this platform. There's also the way that crimes are—
oh no, not this Netflix series.
Reported and presented by the media and in the news. Think about all the drama surrounding the show Adolescence that essentially painted young ethnically British boys as the primary perpetrators of violence in the country. Or even the very recent incident that took place in Liverpool where a man drove his car down a street full of people. I obviously can't be more descriptive here on YouTube, but hopefully you guys have seen that story or at least can look it up. Within hours of this incident taking place, the driver had been publicly described as a 53-year-old white British man. People were extremely critical of this, saying that when the perp is not this demographic, this information is often delayed or fully kept under wraps. This even led—
Stop noticing. You're not allowed to notice. Or you got a permit for noticing that bit of information, mate.
To admissions from UK police who said that people should not expect them to release every suspect's ethnicity in the wake of an incident. Now, there obviously isn't just one reason why this is the case, and some of those reasons are more legitimate than others. But I do think, if we are being honest with ourselves, a lot of this is happening because, like I said before, it is socially acceptable to villainize and demonize this specific demographic. The demographic of straight white men. In saying that, I also think it's worth noting, and this is just my opinion, that basically every group in society is attacked or demonized or vilified or whatever for one reason or another. I think as people and as groups of people, we just sort of naturally have our own intolerances and dislikes and bigotry. So I'm not trying to make the claim that white men are uniquely targeted in that respect. But where I think this issue starts to diverge comes from the fact that, like I have said probably 3 or 4 times now, the hatred of that specific demographic is socially normalized and socially accepted. There's no fear of blowback, and most people don't bat an eye when
again, like I said, you replace the word white with any other color and instantly you just get ruined.
These kind of things are articulated or said by politicians or enacted in media and entertainment. Most people are not penalized for having these positions in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's largely because, or at least it has to do with the fact, that this position is viewed as morally superior, given that the public perception is that white people, and more specifically straight white men, are subjugators and colonizers and cannot experience racism due to the fact that they are considered a dominant group in society. I'm literally right in the middle of filming, and I'm going to put this in my video. I will call you back. As with basically every video that I make ever, there were a bunch of additional examples that I wanted to include in this video that I'm not going to include for the sake of brevity, but I probably will link some of them in the description box because there's some really asinine stuff out there, I'm not gonna lie. I do want to say here at the end here in summary that I do have 2 kind of contradictory viewpoints about this, and I guess I need to think about my position here a little bit further, but I'm gonna—
What?! You're gonna take time to think for yourself about a topic instead of listening to what Twitter freaks tell you? Nah, this bitch is crazy. What? I didn't even know you could do that, chat. Is that allowed? No way. What? I thought we had to always take the side of whatever the current thing is. You're just allowed to think for yourself? Do you need a permit? Oh my god, this is certainly news to me, chat. Like, you know, I did not know that.
Articulate them for you anyway.
It's a thought crime, that's right.
The first is that everyday normal people, for the most part, at least in my opinion, are pretty good at overlooking a lot of this social conditioning that's taking place. And I think that when left to our own devices, most people will get along most of the time. But with that said, and I suppose this is the contradictory point, I don't see any of this getting any better anytime soon. I think as the issues of mass immigration and illegal immigration take root and proliferate and make people very mad across the Western sphere in particular, I see the attacks on straight white men or just white people or different groups of people getting worse and worse, and the division and the polarization getting worse and worse as we all become racially conscious and forced into our own little groups. So in the end, while I do believe that—
And that's what people want, huh? No, me, I grew up in a very diverse little town. Like, what the frick, man? What is going on? I don't want that.
Most people are very capable of getting along and being good to each other. I also think, at the same time, that while the very legitimate criticisms of immigration and this immigration debacle that's going on in the West continue to come up and continue to accelerate, we are going to see more and more hatred directed towards the colonizing white people as a way of deflecting blame.
I mean, this happens regardless. Like, how many times have we seen people attack Asmongold and, like, calling him racist instead of addressing his points or his arguments? Like, it's always never. Deflecting blame is politics 101. Politicians do it, everybody does it. And that's why everything keeps getting worse. Because nobody cares about the truth. It's about winning. And they only care about winning because a lot of them view you as like a racist Nazi, and therefore you're expendable. And no action against you, no matter how heinous or how wrong it is, because it's morally right to abuse, deplatform, maim, or even kill the racist Nazi. It's very dangerous.
Now, on that very happy and pleasant note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out Ground News using the link in the description or scanning the QR code on screen. I love Ground News. I think that what they're doing is incredibly cool, and if it is something that you are also interested in, go and check them out. You won't regret it. Now I open the floor to all of you, and I'm actually really interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. I always am. Do you think that this white population of men is being uniquely attacked right now? Do you agree with my vantage point, which is that basically every group gets attacked in one way or another, but
I think the saddest part is when mixed-race kids don't. Like, I had a friend that was mixed race, and they always were, like, not fitting in with a group, one or another, because it's like, you don't quite fit in with the black people, but you don't fit in with the white people, and it's like, why can't we just live in a world where it's like, it's just a kid? It doesn't matter that they don't look a certain way. I don't know, that's like my, like, woman heart moment, you know? Like, I just feel bad for all those kids, you know?
The difference here is that it's socially acceptable to do it towards this particular part of the white demographic. Do you think that this is not really a big deal?
Yard. Yeah,
and
pretty much.
White people are colonizers, and this should be happening anyway. We should all be getting put in our place. Do you think that it's good? Do you think that it's bad? Do you think that overall people can overcome this and see through this terrible social messaging? And what do you generally make of this issue overall? As always, if you have made it this far in the video, congratulations. I always like having you along for the full ride. If you are new here and you're not subscribed already and you would like to see more of me and more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel, as well as leaving this video a like and a comment, because I do read the majority of them and I like hearing your feedback. Of course, in the interim, I hope you all stay very safe and very well, and always make good choices, and I will see you wonderful pretty people in the next video.
That was really good.